Anybody there?
Do we have Tess on yet? Is she?
No, Tess is not here. Neither is Bob, and neither is Mark.
Yeah.
You copy me?
Yes, Lee, we hear you.
We got you. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to move it over to Fred here. And Fred, I'm going to make you host, and then you can bring on Rand.
How do I bring the picture up?
Here's Bob. Okay. There we go.
There we go.
Good evening, everybody. This is Bob.
Yeah. Hi, Bob.
I hope everybody had a good holiday.
Oh, yeah.
That was too enthusiastic.
Here's Tess.
It's all over at our house except for the pine needles on the floor. I haven't cleaned that up yet, but other than that, it's all
Yeah, it's over. But
in the boxes.
Okay.
Tess is-
Oh, sorry, Rand.
yeah, Tess is here, so we're full.
We're here. And Mark, I don't know if it's coming. I got an email if he had something else to do, but he may try to join. So I think we can go ahead and start.
Okay.
I will call the meeting to order. It is 6:32. And we have one person in the public. So welcome, everybody. Good to have everyone on this dark and stormy night. Oh, wait, it's not Halloween, it's January. We'll do that later. Oh, here's Mark right here. Okay, on our dark and stormy night. Mark, I'm going to promote to panelists. Once he goes on, we'll continue with Tess and her lush background.
Exactly.
Greenery. You look like you're in a nursery or greenhouse. Very pretty.
It's all
Okay.
fake.
Well, it looks pretty good from here. Okay, so Mark is here. Welcome, Mark. I understand you may have to leave at some point. I got your email. Forgive me for not writing you back. I just got it recently. But we're glad to see you. And with that, why don't we call a roll call? And I will start with Ren Blight.
Here.
He's here. Red Eye Berry is here. Tess Taylor.
Here.
Here. Mark Stevenson
Here.
is here. Bob Scabelli
present.
is here. Jonathan Gregory
Here.
is there. Ron is here. Okay.
Here.
And Lee.
10-4.
How about that? All of us are here in one night. That's nice to see. Okay. Well,
Is Ron Bambini no longer on the?
no, here. I called him.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear it. Okay.
He said yes. And he's here. Everybody is here. So let's move on to the minutes. I'd like to move for motion A to approve the GTLNC 14th. I'm going to mute Lee if you don't mind right now. November 14th, 2022 Plum Committee minutes. Do I have a first?
First. Tess.
Yeah. And how about a second?
Jonathan.
Jonathan. All right. How about some discussion on these minutes? Go ahead, Jonathan.
I just want to comment on the November 14th minutes. These are properly marked as draft, but if you look down at the bottom, there's quite a few items that have no indication as to what happened, whether it was tabled or discussed. So there's, in a sense, no point to minutes. If, you know, I understand Ren's point, the repetitive point that Ren makes, that overkill is no good. But here, there's no record of anything that happened. Is that what you want?
Well, the minimum that we can do is the vote tally, the attendance and the topics. We don't really have to go into anything else. So that is the minimum that's required. I'm very happy to add to it. If you guys want to give me some feedback on that, I don't have any notes beyond what I emailed you. But if you'd like to add stuff, I'm very happy to do that.
Well, the only reason I mention it is I don't need to see people working any harder than they need to. I don't need to see people working any harder than they need to. But when I look back on when, for example, we're making a meeting tonight, I go back to the previous minutes to try to fixate my brain on what happened, because it's 2 months now. I don't remember, to tell you the truth. For example, state legislative, I just don't remember. And maybe I'm not the only one. I don't know. If nobody else wants anything at all, if it would at least say, we did an overcap or nothing important, but
sorry, just busting in. Yeah, and Fred, I'm happy to help you.
Yes.
I'm one of the, I'm opposite to Ren on this. I think a bit more meat on the bone would be good, because after all, what are we doing? Why are we meeting? What was discussed? It helps people to find out later, in particular, how we voted. I'm not sure if we took a vote last time. So I'm in favor of a bit more description personally. And once again, I am happy to assist you with that if you like. Send you a
I can't
draft.
do it. I'm too busy to take minutes. So if someone wants to do it, that's fine. And I'll add to it, but I can't do it.
All right. So you want my minutes?
I would love them.
Okay, great.
I would love them. And also for October, I don't know if you have those two, but we still need to pass our October minutes, which we will do in February. There's that as well. So I don't have anything on October either, and we still need to pass that.
Okay, I'll have a look. I will agree to, well, how about this going forward? I don't want to go into the past. I've got hellacious amounts to do too, but I'm at least reasonably efficient with this stuff. So if everybody approves, I'll take the minutes starting tonight.
That'd be amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be very helpful. I mean, I have to, Fred is admitted not being good at minutes, and I'm not either. I mean, I take notes from time to time, but on some things that get, where I get involved,
Okay.
I'm taking notes because I'm thinking and interacting and listening, and I'm not a good note taker. So in some cases, we may lose the most important conversations because I'm not taking good notes. So I'd really appreciate it if you do that.
Done.
Okay.
Amazing. Thank you very much. We have another hand from the public that's raised their hand. If we'll go have Mark next. And Jonathan, Tess, do you have anything further to add?
No.
Okay, so take your hand down.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. And I do agree with you, Jonathan. And I think we'd love to see more. And I'm sorry, I can't have the brain power to multitask like that. But Mark, go ahead. You got the floor.
Yeah, just very quickly. I think it is important that we have as good a set of minutes as possible. I appreciate Jonathan bringing that up. The key, though, is not to have overkill, because that's not what minutes are for. I just wanted to make sure that we're very clear not to have overkill, because, right, but just hitting the key points and keeping on task. And I know Tess will do a great job at that. So I just wanted to put it out there.
Well, so a quick review, not the brothers Karamazov. Okay. Yes. All right.
Okay. So are we going to vote on these, or do we want to revise them?
Oh,
I would vote on it. You can always go back to the recording if you want detail.
You can go back to the recording. You want detail. How about that?
it's
can
good to
go
vote. I'm okay too.
I'm just teasing you.
I think the recording really.
I love the recordings. Actually, I've done that as a matter of fact, and gone back to the recordings, and And I'm so happy that they're recorded.
Well, I'll say that, and not to belabor the point, it's good that we have the recording, but for people who just want a quick overview of what happened, nobody wants to have to sit and, scan through an hour, 2 hour meeting. So I think 1 or 2 pages of minutes is ideal, and backed up by the recording. So that's it. And I'm okay to vote on this now.
That was my point, yes. We
Okay.
don't need a lot of detail since we have recordings.
Very good. Okay. Well, then, let's move to the vote. And first one on the list is Ren.
Yes.
Yes. Mark.
I'm going to just pass on this since I wasn't part of the meetings.
Yes. Abstain. Okay. And we go to Jonathan.
Yes.
Yes. Fred. Yes. Bob.
Yes.
Yes. Tess.
Yes.
Yes. Ron.
Yes.
Okay. And then Lee. I'm going to unmute Lee. Let's see here. Okay. Lee.
Affirmative.
Affirmative. Thank you, Lee. All right. So then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 yeses, 0 no's, and 1 abstain. Oh, we had a member from the public raise their hand, but hold on a minute. Hold on. Joanne, I'm sorry. I see you now. Go ahead and.
Yes, the vote's done, but I just wanted to put in my 2 cents that I just don't think that the minimum needed to have minutes is the best way to go. I think, and I applaud Tess. And I get sometimes people aren't good at notes. I get that. That's what, so if there's someone that's willing to take notes, and I think, because sometimes we want to go back and look at the history of things. This is I think it's probably the most important committee there is because of, dealing with development and everything. And I think there needs to be a good record, and to just want to do minimum or just be okay with minimum isn't good enough. And that's just my 2 cents. But I also, as a point of order, not that I can make a point of order, I'm not sure if he's saying he wants to pass on voting is the same as an abstention, but I could be wrong. I think they're 2 different things.
Okay.
For
Okay.
technicality points of view.
Thank you for pointing that out. On the agenda, there are smaller words that, yes, no, ineligible, abstain, recusal, and excused. And I thought those were the choices to choose from. If there's another one that can be passed, so be it. I just wasn't sure about that.
I'll abstain. How about that?
But it's a good point, Joanne. Just if pass and abstain, I'm sure there must be a difference.
Just keeping us honest, Fred, keeping us honest.
Yes,
That's
no,
right.
of course,
That's right.
absolutely. That's why we're here. Thank you so much, Joanne. Really, and good to hear your voice. All right, so let's go now to public comment number 4. And Joanne, you still have your hand raised if you'd like to speak in public comment.
Sure. It's been a while since I've been to this committee meeting, and just basically, I just want to kind of, to say my personal views based on the development. It seems like, it seems like, I don't know, I think that development's going to be fast tracking with the new mayor. Sounds like she's going to try to get rid of a lot of the hoops you had to jump through to kind of get a project going. And so I just kind of want to put my 2 cents in that if we can try to not let things overdevelop too quickly, like I believe you already have on the agenda tonight, which I will speak to at the later time, but how parking is becoming an issue. I believe crime is certainly becoming an issue. And so I just want to just a friendly reminder, can we try to put some brakes on the speed of which, especially a lot of this high end, thing, it's not really housing, it's not really for the homeless when it's $3,000 a month rent. So I just would like to see brakes put on it a little bit as best as possible. Try to keep the neighborhood feel in Toluca Lake. Thank you.
Well put. Very well put. Okay, and any comments from any of the board members?
I have a public comment as well that I actually asked Fred and Ren to put this on the agenda for next month. I didn't see it in time, unfortunately, because I'm digging through so many emails. But Joanne, to your point, Mayor Bass has declared a state of emergency on homelessness on December 12th last year. And she has issued executive directive number 1 on the 16th of December, an expedition of permits and clearances for temporary shelters and affordable housing types. And you are precisely correct that everything is being fast tracked. And I attended a meeting yesterday at which a number of people in the neighborhood council system have asked to be put on, to receive notice, because it appears that the hearing period, which would normally occur, may be truncated, but we can discuss this in more depth at next month's meeting. But it's very, very important. I think that everybody on this committee read those, the declaration of the state of emergency on homelessness and the executive directive number 1. And perhaps Ren and Fred, you could forward that to the committee, or, I can as well, if you like. Why don't I do it?
Yes, and I did receive that email for next month's agenda.
Yeah, please.
This is Lee. You hear me?
Yes.
I'd like to make one comment. Is this development stuff is really bad. They're claiming we have a water shortage and how dry we are. Well, if you take 2 houses down, build up a 25-unit apartment, you're quadrupling at least the amount of water usage. And it's wrong. It's totally wrong. And people cannot afford these new high dense. We need to put a stop to development. Thank you.
Okay. Very good. All right. Oh,
so Fred, actually, my hand's up. So I know how some folks are about development. I am pro-development. However, I am pro-development under certain circumstances. I'm just not willy-nilly, hey, let's overdevelop. I think there's a rhyme and a reason, and I do not believe that we should be fast-tracking development. Tess and I are on the same page. In fact, Tess and I talk often. So I think it is imperative that we stay on top of this. Fred, I do want to bring up the one thing that I sent you an email about, and I will leave it up to the committee. I now, as you know, I'm a pastor at the church over here at Harmony. I now have committee meetings on Mondays at 7:30, so I have to leave at 7:20. If you want me to continue on Plum, which I would love to do, and now that my health is restored, hallelujah, I would be glad to do that, but I have to leave at 7:20 on the meeting nights. So that is up to all of you to decide. I will follow suit as you make your determination. Thanks.
Okay. Would it be okay to start our meetings at 6 o'clock instead of 6:30 to accommodate Mark?
Fine with me. I think Mark is important and we should keep him.
I'd love to move it earlier if we could.
I second what Tess said. Yeah. Whether a whole
Agree too.
mark or a partial mark, it's still worthwhile.
Why don't we have a partial mark and start our meetings at 6 o'clock now?
Yeah, maybe we should reconsider though. Maybe we can just have all the hard issues. We'll hold those to, 7:25 and so forth, and let, keep Mark off the hook. Do him a favor.
Okay, that's another way to look at it. Well,
I'm glad to accommodate however it is you want. It's just again, I love being on this committee. I've been on this for a number of years. It's valuable, and as Joanne has already said, it's one of the most important committees and the work that we do. So whatever it is you wish to do, I'm glad to be here.
So I think it would be appropriate to vote on this, or just have a raise of hands. I'm all for starting at 6 so that we can keep Mark, Tess, Jonathan,
Bob,
Fred, Ren. Ron, how do you feel?
go ahead, Ron.
Oh, well, I put my hand up to say yes.
Okay. And Lee, how do you feel?
It's muted.
Lee, we'd like to start the meeting at 6 o'clock moving forward so we can keep Mark, who agrees with you on a lot of things.
It sounds like he's pro-development.
playing politics.
I can't hear Lee. Can you repeat that?
affirmative. I said if he's really very against development, then yes.
All right. I don't think you can qualify your vote, Lee, but it's a unanimous mark. So motion carries. And that was I guess, an informal vote. All right.
Terrific.
Okay.
I think it's informal only in the sense that we need to check with Colby and the other, the people in the executive committee to make sure it meets their requirements, whatever. But I think it does.
That's fine.
Yeah, there are other committees I think that already meet at 6, so I don't think it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So why don't you tell Colby what we've done? All right, very good. Thank you.
Let's not forget to update the people who do the web page and stuff. People get confused if we didn't, if we advertise 6:30 and we don't make the change.
Yes.
Okay, very good. All right, it's moving right along here. Let's go to old business. And 6.1 is the city. Oh my goodness, do you hear that thunder? Sorry, I got a little scared in thunder and it's gonna go and it makes me jump. So
I can't hear it down here at all.
it's bad out here.
No, it's thundering here.
But
Okay.
anyway,
All right, so go ahead.
back to Ren. So it's city planning department, community plan, plum committee, community plan forms for 2000.
Yeah, I reached out to a couple of the planners at the city planning department, and Miles Orr, who was actually beginning to communicate pretty well with us, has moved on. He's left the city of LA entirely. Don't get me started. He must, he's a competent person, so he's found a job. Anyway.
Who was that? Who was that, Ren, who left?
Miles Orr.
Miles Orr. Okay. ORR?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's moved on, so you can take that off your list. And the people who are sort of back on the list are like higher level people with a broader community plan responsibility. And I couldn't get any of them to commit to any kind of not even not an impersonal, but any kind of even a Zoom kind of briefing for Toluca Lake specifically. I get the sense that they haven't moved it forward. I mean, last time we talked to them was 4 months ago or whatever, and I get a sense that not much has happened. They were still talking about the Ventura Boulevard corridor plan and all of that. And I told both of them when I talked to them, we already talked about that, and that really isn't central to what we're worried about. In any event, we're concerned about our community plan, which initially was supposed to be done by now. And then, of course, with COVID, they've moved it. But I would hope at some point they'd get back on it and start to focus in. And I think we're part of the problem is our community is part of the target for substantial increase in housing based on state and CAG and so forth requirements. And I think all of that needs to be revisited or at least looked at very carefully in the case of our community to see what works. I think there are places where additional developments make sense and could fit in relatively easily, but a lot of parts of our community is already got problems. But new development then, I think, brings a number of other issues, the parking being the most obvious, and we'll talk about parking later. But there's a whole range of community plan issues that we need to deal with. And I just don't want to get to a point where suddenly the community plan is, quote, finalized by the planners, and now suddenly we've got 6 weeks to come up with our reaction and recommendations. I think it's too important, and it'll be around for at least 10 years once it's approved. So it needs to be, substantially reviewed, and people in the community need to know about it. In our capacity as planning, we get a lot of people coming in. How in the world can you let them do this? And it's like, no, it's not us letting them do something. If it's in the community plan, they can do it by right. And there's stuff going on by right now, which, I just look up as I drive around the community and go, oh, that's interesting. Never heard of it, never heard that that was happening. Or, we heard about it, but we had no input opportunity. So anyhow, community plan is out there, and I will keep beating the drum and calling these people and trying to get them to at least show up. Ideally, we'll get an in-person briefing. And I'll go back to our city council office as well and say, hey, maybe they're the ones who need to get the planners to come out and meet with the neighborhood and tell us what's happening. Any comments or questions about community plans?
Yeah, just that we should stop using the term affordable housing because it's a fraud and it doesn't really exist. And we've got over 90,000 empty units already in the city of Los Angeles. That's been confirmed. And I don't think that housing is the problem because many people who have been offered shelter and housing have refused it. So I think we need to keep that in mind. And SCAG has basically inflated the numbers based on faulty data, which I've emphasized repeatedly here. And that's what I have to say.
Okay, any other comments? So which case we'll go on the legislative agenda and maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
On the notes, it says that there are farms planned for 2023. Do you want to mention something about what a farm is? And I'm not understanding that part.
Oh, forum. It's a group meeting. Does it say farm?
Yeah, it says Plum
Forum,
Committee.
not farm, forum.
Forum. Can't say
That's
it.
Jonathan's New York accent. Farm.
Forum.
I'll write you a letter.
Yeah, when it comes to spelling, I wouldn't be at all surprised if I'd put farm and.
It's my pronunciation.
All right, next.
Yeah.
Next.
Okay, moving on to the next thing. Tess, is there something cooking here that you can share with us on the state legislative issues?
Not at the moment, unless there's something that anybody wants to bring forward. This is a standing item for people who want to, discuss a certain bill. I've, seen dozens of things passing over my desk, but nothing that jumps out at me. But of course, I'm not keeping up with all the legislation, so I'm happy to hear from any member of the committee or member of the public who has an interest in a topic or a specific bill.
Yeah, usually in the first month or so of state legislature, why they're just warming up and there's a lot of stuff that's floating, but not formally in the hopper.
Mm-hmm.
Usually February, March is when we start hearing about things that seem to have some real life. And that's when we need to get going. So we'll stay tuned.
Exactly.
Okay, the village clock. That's a classic. I keep thinking we're about to see the footings go in for it, but somehow the city people keep coming up with one more problem, one more requirement, so forth. I mean, I can have some sympathy for developers who talk about the city planning department and the development people, and if we can't get a clock put in on our in our neighborhood after it's been figured out and the plans put together by professionals and all of that, and it's a very prosaic kind of thing. And if we can't get something like that put in, I don't know why a developer would bother, but they do. And unfortunately, well, don't get me started. Anyhow, we're still waiting for the clock, and it's luckily it's being handled by people who are patient and professional and capable, and as the people in public works and so forth keep coming up with questions and whatever, they just keep giving them the answers. You know, yeah, here's the answer. If you look on page 7 of this, on, you know, down at the bottom here, you'll see the note which covers the question you're asking. So anyhow, they're getting there.
Is
All
there
right, Rand, we got a
specific?
couple of questions.
Sure.
We got some hands up. Really quick, my hands up, really fast question. We'll go Mark and Jonathan, but I read somewhere, I can't tell you where, that the clock is going to play music. And do you know anything about that? And if so, what type of music and when? Or is it just special occasions or what?
I'm sure it's heavy metal.
Yeah, well, I was hoping it was like gangster rap or something, but
No, I'm familiar with the.
But no, that's actually kind of my point of my question is that, you know, music, where'd that come from? And who's in charge of deciding if and when and what music is played on that thing?
Where'd you hear that, Fred?
I read it. And I have to get it where I read it, but I think it was in an update. It's coming to me from, I know. It was an update on, I know, from Craig Strong's newsletter. You know how Craig Strong sends out a newspaper every month? And this was an update, the very front page cover story in the latest edition. That was an update on the Beautification Partners projects. And in the article, one of those projects discussed the clock, and it said in that article, it plays music, among other things. It chimes, plays music, may light up. It did 4 things, and music was one of them. But it's in that newspaper.
Yeah, okay. That's a good question. I'll follow up on that.
Okay, go ahead, Mark.
Lord have mercy.
That comes from a preacher. You know something's coming up.
Ren, God bless you, man. I'm so tired of this clock. This thing has been going on. How many years? How many years have we been talking about the clock? The bureaucracy is insane. And it's just like one more hoop and another hoop and another hoop. Is there some way that, look, and I'm willing to go to Krikorian's office. Is there some way that we can just get this thing done? We actually, I mean, it would really be interesting if the entire Plum Committee went to Krikorian office and said, we're done. This clock it's due and it's overdue.
Yeah.
I just feel like we need to start getting some representation because I feel we just continue to get the runaround. And Ren, I really appreciate you, everything you're doing, everything you're trying. But again, this has been going on. I know this has been going on at least 5, if not 7 years, and it's ridiculous. This is insanity.
Let me back up a couple of steps. To begin with, this is certainly not my project. This was the Chamber of Commerce, and they basically raised the money to buy the clock, but they didn't raise the money to put the clock in the ground. And so somehow they thought that would magically happen, I guess. I won't go into background on all that. But anyhow, the bottom line is they went ahead and bought the clock. This clock has been in storage now for years. The Beautification Partners took it on at the request of the chamber and so forth. And they have now, they went through and created the formal plans and hired the engineers and architects and so forth that put it all together in a format the city could and would review and approve. And of course, part of our problem has been the change in council representation. And so we haven't had a council person who's assigned someone on their staff to, make it happen. And then COVID and, they're all the excuses, but the bottom line is it's, and I keep thinking it's about to happen. If there's part of me that says, let's hold off on going to the council office about this, because we're going to have other things that are going to be, harder, more serious, what have you. And we may not want to use our whatever credibility or whatever we have with the council office to push this one when there could be other things that we'll think down the road of, even a few months will be more critical for council office attention. On the other hand, Fred lives right across the street. Why don't you just run across the street and knock on his door?
I think we should all do that with our pots and pans and our bullhorns. Let's do it tomorrow. I'll meet you there at 7 in the morning.
Let's make it Wednesday.
Wednesday, fine. Oh, that's right. Tomorrow's the city council meeting. I'll make it Wednesday.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Ren.
Okay.
All right, now let's go to Jonathan. Has his hands up next. And we'll go to Tess and Robert.
Thank you. Ren, can you just give us some of the hard facts? In the past, we were told that there was a permit issued. Is that still true? Is there a permit issued? And if there already is a permit issue, then what is the exact, there has to be details. What's going on? In other words, do you know? And I'm understanding you're not the man in charge, but just as a person collecting the information, do we know what's going on?
I'm not the one interacting with the planning people, so I don't have all those details. My understanding at this moment is that the plans and all of that are virtually ready. They meet all the requirements. A permit could be issued, but they keep coming up with one more question. And the one more question becomes something that's, especially if it's something in the notes and the plan and so forth, then you really start getting, why aren't they just issuing the permit? It's like, it's almost.
So there is no permit. The permit was not issued yet.
Pardon me?
The permit's not issued and they keep asking for more information.
Not that I'm aware of at this moment. I mean,
Right.
theoretically, any day they could issue the permit and we could go ahead. But as of tonight, as far as I know, there's no permit yet issued.
It's kind of convoluted. Thanks.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, Tess, you're up.
You mentioned Public Works. So where is this stuck? Is it stuck in planning or Public Works? And do you know the person or persons responsible for this?
Again, I'm not directly doing the conversation.
Okay. Maybe you could find out and I can give them a little phone call and I'm pretty persistent.
I wonder if it was.
Yeah, I'll get that out there and tell them that we have people that are going to call if
Yeah, I mean, we just need to know who the point people are who are holding this up at City Hall, Planning, Public Works, whoever they are. Knowing their names will help us, I think, break the roadblock. So.
And the people who ought to be doing the call, and we could do it too, but is the chamber people. As I say, this started out as a Chamber of Commerce project. They're the ones who raised the money to buy the clock. And so, between us, I was never enthusiastic about a clock for our community. I think it's archaic, bluntly. It'll be nice, I hope. I think it'll be interesting, but I was never a big proponent of it or thought that it was a great, addition to our community. I would have liked to have seen the money spent on several other things, but bottom line is this is where the money was raised and we're down the road. And at this point, it's let's get it done and move on is my feeling. And I don't want to, frankly, I don't want to spend a lot of our time fighting over something that's, when we've got other issues that I think are more critical.
All right, very good. And our last comment.
Then following up, this is something you want to take on. I can hook you up.
Yeah, just give me a name or two. I'll get on it.
Okay.
All right, Bob, go ahead.
Yeah, I share a lot of the thoughts that Tess and Mark brought forward. It's been so many years. $5,000 is a lot of money to the council to give to somebody who I'm just finding out bought a $50,000 clock without permission to put it on public property. That's kind of mind-boggling. And I agree with Tess. We need to, Ren and this is not, it's not personal, and I appreciate all your efforts, but somebody at Beautification Partners should come to either this committee or the council and really tell us what the hell is going on. All we hear is that it's mañana, mañana, mañana. So I don't know who's driving it over at the Beautification Partners, but can't they come and talk to us about the process, who they're dealing with? It wouldn't be planning. It would be the building department. And the building department, I'm familiar with how to get a permit if you're doing something on your property. Doing something on public property is a whole nother can of worms. I mean, that's really tough, as it should be. It's public property. You shouldn't be able to do whatever you want on it. So somebody can just tell us, because when the chamber came to us and said it was all ready to go, they just needed $5,000. We gave them that in good faith that would happen, and it hasn't. So we deserve a little bit more than just tomorrow. And I say that respectfully, Ren.
Yeah, I'll ask Brian to come to our GTLNC meeting and do a update on this. And ideally, he'll tell us it's, when it's supposed to go in. I mean, that would be the ideal.
Well, ideally, but also the issues. What are the issues, so that we understand why it's taking so long, and then we can be more sympathetic if we know what they're up against. Right now, we have no idea what's holding this thing up for so many years.
Yeah. Okay.
Why don't you have Beautification come to Plum next month? That way we don't have to have the board hear all this. We can just deliver to them.
Okay.
Either way, we just need the information, and we
I
have enough.
agree.
We have several council members on this committee too, so can bring that back.
Hey, I think that's that for that. So let's move on to 6.4, and I'll throw this over to Jonathan, the West Toluca Lake Monument and Signage Project.
I'll just say where we left off. Where we left off was Rain was going to go and speak with the people at Beautification Partners to assess their opinion, not whether or not they want to do it, but their opinion of the project. I had said previously, we have no leverage. We're not bringing money to the table. What we're really attempting to do is put some parameters on the money that's already been given to them. They rely strongly in their written presentation online on the neighborhood council as a mainstay of their validity of their nonprofit activities in Greater Toluca Lake. So it seems to common sense that if the neighborhood council were to issue a directive that defines its priorities, it should be taken with some degree of seriousness, and that's all there is to it. So where we were left off was there were four locations. One was clearly understood to be the northwest corner of Vineland and Lancashire. Then there were three other places that were mentioned, and Ren was going to go and speak with Beautification Partners in order to assess what it is they need or what their feelings were in a loose way. And at every point, for me at least, there's a reliance on trust rather than contractual or leverage. Ren, did you have an opportunity to talk to anyone?
I haven't. We didn't have a meeting in December, and various elements of the Beautification Partners were all busy with their Christmas and so forth activities. But we should do that this month and be able to get back to you on this.
Okay. In order to go to the general meeting, what at minimum the minimum information I would like to bring there is simply the four locations. Can this committee right now say the three locations? Yeah, you had mentioned before, I'm not looking at my notes, but we had mentioned something about Clybourne and two other spots. Does anyone recall what those three spots were, three locations?
I recall the one spot was in Burbank across from Bob's Big Boy. Another one was on Riverside in Vineland, where the Caltrans property is, I believe. And then you said Clybourne, I think was in it, like Camarillo, one on Camarillo coming in from Clybourne and Camarillo. I thought that was another one. And the fourth one, yeah, anyone got the fourth one? Maybe Ron or Bob, do you guys know?
I forgot. It's 2 months.
Yeah, I have notes on it, not in front of me, unfortunately, but I did take notes at the time, so, yeah, we don't need to worry about it now, but I think we'll get back on it here pretty quick.
Well,
It's in the it's in the minutes. You can.
here's something I got from Ryan Altoon, and I think Ren knows this, confirmed this. That money that was given by the state, actually, it doesn't all go to Toluca Lake, number one. Number two, it has to be on state property, apparently. So essentially, my understanding is, in Toluca Lake, it would be the on-ramps, off-ramps. So possibly, Vineland and Riverside might qualify, I don't know. But that is what I understand. So any of the others are basically out of the picture. Is that correct, Ren?
I think it would be, yeah. And I don't know that we're necessarily bound to just be looking at that $2 million. I mean, that's certainly a priority, but there are other ways to raise funds for these kind of projects, and they're long-term. I mean, anytime you want to do a project like this, it's going to take a number of years, and we might be able to find donors or support, in some other way that's not, not part of this $2 million. So, but I think the one that's the primary one, I think would qualify under the $2 million, and that should be the one we should focus on, I think. But let me get back to those numbers. Let me talk to Ryan and the other people, the chamber people and so forth that are with Beautification Partners, and see what kind of interest and support there is for doing this going forward with it, and where it fits in the bigger set of priorities. But they've already got a bunch of things. And your comment earlier about getting Ryan to come in and make a presentation, I think is a good one. We probably ought to be hearing from Beautification Partners, like an update on the agenda and where they are and their funding and all of that. We've been kind of remiss in making that information public on a regular basis. So I think we need to get back and do that.
Okay, one just quick comment, and I'll hand it over to you, Bob.
Right, before you leave this subject, come back to me after, okay?
Oh, yes, I'm still on the subject.
Okay.
And, since you brought it up, which I love the idea, I ride my bike a lot around the neighborhood, and I noticed that on Vineland and Aqua Vista near the Beverly Garland Hotel, as you're traveling north on Vineland, there is a monument in the center median that says Valley Stars, North Hollywood, as you're coming up toward West.
You're right.
And so I just wanted to point that out there, if in case anyone wants to drive by that. And then a couple blocks down the street, we'd have another one that says West Toluca Lake. I don't know if that's a conflict or not. I don't know how North Hollywood got the one in the center median. Just making an observation, since you mentioned it, I'm looking out for things like
What's the conflict, Fred?
Well, they're so close to each other. Like we were entering North Hollywood at Vineland and near the Beverly Garland, and then 2 blocks down, it changes to West Toluca Lake, and then back again to North Hollywood further down from that. So I just don't know if that's a conflict or not, but it seems a little confusing to me.
A turf war.
They're all over the city.
So-
There's welcoming signs all over the city. And
Yeah.
we've had one here in
But not
Toluca Lake.
not monuments like that, Bob. Monuments that are like permanent. I've never seen that before where they change.
No, they're there. I mean, in Sherman Oaks, I know if
Send
they
me
have
some
there. They have
examples.
one in Encino. They have
Yeah,
Encino
but-
has a big thing all over the whole Ventura Boulevard.
Yes, I know that, but not blocks away. It changes and then goes back to
Well,
Encino again. That doesn't happen.
Everybody wants to welcome somebody to their community. Nothing wrong with that.
But I think you're missing my point, Bob. My point is that it starts in North Hollywood, and then a couple blocks more to Toluca Lake, and then a couple blocks more is North Hollywood again. It's just weird. I don't know.
Okay. But I do have my
Okay.
hand up still. Go ahead.
Yes, and you're next, Bob. So you got the floor, and then Mark.
Oh, okay, thank you. Yeah, this is probably a good time. It's not exactly on the agenda, but it's a good time because it goes in with what Jonathan is saying. You know, about a year, maybe a year and a half, some fool crashed and destroyed the monument that we had on the median on Riverside Drive and Ledge. It was a beautiful median with a rock, and it had a big sign, "Welcome to Toluca Lake." And then just more recently, last month, another fool came down and took out 4 trees, all of the foliage and the lighting and everything else. So the whole median is completely destroyed. And I'm hoping the council members on this committee can bring that to the attention of the council. Maybe we can give them some money. This is the chamber that maintains that particular median. And maybe we can give a couple of thousand. I spoke to Shannon and I made some suggestions. And I think the 3 or 4 community entities that we have can throw in a couple of thousand each, $7,000-8,000, and get that thing fixed. Because it was a shame. It was really and it was all lit up. Has lights on every tree, uplighting. They spent a lot of money to upgrade that thing. They put in new planting. They put in uplights on the trees. They wrapped every tree on that median with lights, and it's all gone.
Now, Bob, wouldn't the vehicle who caused the accident's insurance pay for something like that?
Yes, and well, I would think so. I mean, I'm no expert, but that's what I suggest to Shannon. We know who the guy is because he was arrested for DUI.
Yeah, so it should be an insurance claim, seems like.
And hopefully Shannon is following up on that. But she's on the council, and I hope she can say something about it, or somebody should ask her about it. I will.
All right.
I'm venting a little frustration because it was a shame. They spent a lot of time and effort to clean it up, build it up, and then have these 2 fools just destroy it. So yeah, in fact, one of the Tony, the previous council member, his car was damaged, so he would have the information on the insurance too.
Oh, how interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let's throw the book at him. All right, Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, so everyone, I have to skedaddle as I am now being called over to the sanctuary. However, I do want to respond to what Fred brought up. And Fred, this is the hard thing about where we're under the Greater Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council. We have to understand that North Hollywood is part of, the city of North Hollywood is part of the Greater Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council, and it causes confusion. In fact, Harmony Toluca Lake on Cahuenga on the west side is in North Hollywood, which I prefer saying Toluca Lake, and on the east side of Cahuenga is Toluca Lake, right? So it's that constant thing with the signs. I mean, it would be great to have continuity, but it does cause confusion, but they're also staking out their territory. So I just wanted to quickly respond to that. I wish everyone well tonight. Look forward to seeing you at 6 o'clock, hopefully in February. All right.
Good to see you, Mark. Good night.
Wonderful.
Bye-bye.
Good night, Mark.
Good to see you back.
Yes, indeed. Good night. Okay, Jonathan, go ahead.
A few things. It's evolving. If this is in fact true, and this is part of my question, is it's true that the $2 million can only be used on state property. This is not a supposition or a maybe, correct? This is fact.
I don't think it's fact at all, Jonathan.
Oh, okay. Well, if that turns out to be the case,